mean, I'm not saying I want to get arrested, or I don't want anyone to get arrested, but I surely think that it's only worth doing if there's some sort of risk. Because without the risk, there's no reward.
What was the worst you saw the drug problem in New York City, Manhattan particularly?
Well, it's a good question. I would say, when you're younger, you're naive. I mean, unless you have someone pointing it out to you. Like, I don't have any brothers or sisters. My mom was single. My father was fucked up on drugs, but she kept him way out of our lives. So I didn't know anything about it. But I would say, I'm trying to think. Uh, um, I don't know. It was so different, Like when I was younger, sure there were junkies everywhere, right? But the heroin was real heroin. So like, sure they were junkies, but at least the drugs they were doing were real. Yeah, I mean fentanyl is the number one killer of adults in America under 40, and I mean if that's not enough for them to, start looking for some type of plan. People go, ooh, legalization, yucky, I mean, but what's the choice? Leaving it the way it is and having people ODing and stealing and robbing out your cars. That doesn't make any sense. People are so stuck in their own fucking world.
It's a shit show. When you go out west or you go to parts of the country where it's real bad, you're left shocked. If you're not used to seeing that shit, even if you
Yeah.
are used to seeing that shit, I'm sure you can get desensitized, but
Right.
that's the best way I can describe it is like you're shocked. You're like, this is
Right.
I guess not just like America, because like fucking whatever, but more so like, damn, this is life. This is like our community. This is what little
Yeah.
kids have to grow up seeing.
Right.
Um, and obviously within the graffiti community, like a lot of writers fucking pass away from drug abuse,
Right.
which is sad because they tend to pass away young and it's typically people who have a lot of like in the world of graffiti, a lot of drive and a lot of talent and a lot of like
Yeah, I
all that
mean,
stuff.
dude, it's got me thinking like just all the people sad. Yeah, I mean the whole it's crazy, as is life. But like I don't know. I mean, there's no real easy answer. There is this doctor though, down in the East Village. I remember like in 2014, Guess and I were walking around and it said Dr. Dave, the weed doctor. This is before legalization. So we went in there. Oh, and then when you walk by his office, there was he had like one picture of some street art, but like framed, and like reprinted. And he had a picture of a bunch of guest tags. Like it was like an installation that he like, I don't know. It was an unsanctioned thing, but it looked like art. It wasn't just a tag. Like it was like colorful tags in a row. It looked like he had broken it off something. So we went in there just to ask him, where he found it, and he said that he didn't know. Someone gave it to him. We believed him. Whatever. Point is, he was a huge advocate for legalization of drugs, and that was in 2014. And growing up in the city, like going to buy weed at the shops, weed stores up in Harlem, that was a ton of fun. And as a little white kid, like it was scary. I mean, I felt safe of it, but I remember like, whoa, this is crazy. Like, really not fitting in the area, which is weird because I was used to fitting in, but it was good, because you see that everyone is different. You know what I mean? So, but the the prohibition, right? That's what I was talking about. Oh yeah, to see the weed become legal is pretty crazy. But
Now you got weed shops on every corner, but a lot of them are selling bullshit.
right, well, they're not sanctioned, so they fucked the law up, and so there's a just not to bore you with too much detail, but basically there's a thing called THCA, and it's like basically I don't know how you do it, but it's something like basically it's one molecule off of when you fully um, what do you call that, yield. There's a way to like change the molecule, so it's the same fucking thing. It's like you know, ripping off the corner of this bag and saying, hey, it's different chips now. So that's how they were able to start dispensaries. Now, if you notice, all of them sell either New York stuff, mostly Jersey, and that's usually fake. So, my point is the city should have spent time, really getting it off the ground properly. They would be yielding way more money now, um, and put these other people out to business. Because, like you said, it's bullshit. You don't know what you're smoking. Some
Yeah.
fucking guy puts in dust. Next thing
Yeah.
you know, you're freaking out. I don't trust it.
Throughout all those years of the early '90s, chilling with RFC, doing all that, painting graffiti. Did you ever start using anything?
Drugs?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely. Definitely part of my story. So I didn't use drugs at all in the beginning. You know, I yeah, I didn't use up until I was about 19. So no. So as a young guy, like in RFC, like when we first started, I mean, none of us did really, and a few people smoked weed. That was something, but I didn't. And then I remember one night when we were 15, and now I was with my other friends that I grew up with. They lived like next door to me, and we were scheming on having a beer because his dad had gone away at an apartment on 34th Street, so we were just hanging out there, and we went in the fridge, and he had like six types of different beers. This wasn't in days of IPA. It was like we had like one Coors Light and one Bud. Who the fuck knows why? So we started drinking them, and we got. I remember. I mean, I remember barely, but we got like blackout drunk off of like four beers, and we were running around the streets, like bumping into people, like like we were a little kid. We were like, "Hey, excuse me," like just being idiots. So that was the first time I ever drank, and then I didn't like it that much. So it wasn't like the next day I was like, "Give me some more." I just wasn't for me. Um, and then yeah, and then and then weed I stayed away from until I was like 16 and a half. So Macaulay Culkin's brother, went junior high school. Like we know we were all friends with them, and his brother Shane like smoked mad weed, and we hung out that summer. I think it was summer of '98 or '94, I forget. But he would beg us to smoke with him, Shane Culkin. And finally, we just relented one summer day. We're like, fuck it. And we went to this part of Central Park because that's where they used to live, by Central Park. He bought some weed, and that was it. I mean, after that, we started smoking all the time. But I didn't do anything hard until college, you know, which was, I thought, the natural progression. I mean, I don't know what made me continue to do it. But yeah, I mean, my father was pretty bad. I didn't know him. But what's crazy is like, later in life, as my mom like shared some more stuff, you realize like, he's a big part. I have a lot of traits that he had, and I didn't even know him. Which is crazy, but I can choose to make better decisions, which I do. And thankfully, yeah, I've been, you know, doing really good for the last, what was it, 20, I'm trying to think, once in a while I'll have a little drink, or, just like once in a blue moon, but not all the time. You know, I got bad for like a few years back, like in the late 90s. I gotta say,
Yeah.
yes, I moved to Delaware, and all my friends were in the city, and I would go every weekend. But during the week, it just was tough. But thankfully, I got treatment, and I was able to get out of it.